Okay, well, that wasn't our intro, but that's okay. we are
We'll
we
take
are
it.
now live.
Welcome to Freedom Chat,
Oh man,
where anything's
unfiltered.
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get started right now.
What do
Um,
we got today, Mark?
well, we're gonna start with with the tariffs and the tariff controversy. And this segment here is really going to be an education segment. So, for those of you who are still in a mad panic about the tariffs and what's happening with the tariffs, um, I would tell you to take a deep breath because we're just in the beginning of this process. And I'm going to give you a little history lesson about these tariffs and what is going on with them and how they are have affected the world in the past. Um, to a degree, Herbert Hoover uh, created tariffs that were so bad that they were a significant trigger to the Great Depression. Hoover being one of the worst presidents in history. Um, I keep doing.
Why is the FBI building named after him?
Oh no, that's not Herbert Hoover. That's J. Edgar Hoover, who
Oh, okay. All
was
right.
a whole other dude, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So I come across this post about the tariffs. The guy's name is James Dunn, and he has a podcast. And this is what he posted. Fun fact: the purchasing power of the dollar in 1800 was the same as it was in 1900. There was zero inflation for over 100 years. For 100 years, the difference was that the gold standard and tariffs were the way the United States collected its revenue. So it literally collected revenue on the value of gold and tariffs with other countries, which is a trade agreement. For all intents and purposes,
Right.
a tariff is a form of a trade agreement.
Right.
From 1994 to 2025, this is stunning. The United States dollar lost half of its value since we started free trade in 1994, before 1994. Things are 22% more expensive since just 2021. So when you read something like that, it should give you a chance to pause. Number one, I am of the opinion, and this is just my opinion, we need to go back to the gold standard. The gold standard, all the value is based on the value of gold, and we could expand it to precious metals and include gold, titanium, and silver.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were to do that, we would be able to stabilize the world because the value of gold has not crumbled on itself since its existence. Gold has maintained a level of value around the world. So when um, when Nixon insisted that the standard needed to be the dollar standard, and I can read a response to his post. Uh, there was actually inflation during those years. This is a guy. His name is EcoHost. I have no idea who he is, but he's talking about how inflation actually happened during the Civil War. He's not wrong, but that's because wars cost money. Um, the dollar has seen an average inflation rate of 1.44%. An $1,800 a dollar from the 1800s is worth roughly $25 today. A dollar from the 1900s is worth roughly $33 today. So, second, the hold standard had been applied for a brief period, and the United States improved to make the economy so rigid there was no way to adjust for problems. The first pure gold standard started around 1900 and lasted until 1933 when FDR confiscated privately held gold. And then we had a quasi gold standard, which was kind of a hybrid until 1971, and that's when Nixon made the dollar its own standard and forced the rest of the world to jump on board and play games with the U.S. dollar as the standard. So it's always been this way, here's what I can tell you. Here's a chart coming from BBC, and I wish I could share this stuff, but I don't know enough about StreamYard yet to be actually able to put it on, so I won't. But I will tell you, you can find it on BBC, or better than that, you can run your own search on tariffs, U.S. versus the world. That is the search that I used. So for those of you who want to know more about this, that's the search that I did, and I came up with a lot of really good stuff. The United States had tariffs in the 1900s that went up to 29% versus the world. In 1920, that number dropped to right around 7%. It went back up until after World War II, and then it dropped to right around 5.5%, rose a little bit in the 60s, and then ran down below 5% up until 2020, where it has basically sat under, like right around 1 or 2%. So our average tariff rate with the world since 70, 78 has been under 5%. Now, those tariffs, and now I'm going to go to the next chart. I'm going to go to the chart that Trump actually produced in his press conference. China tariffed the United States 67%. The European Union 37%. Vietnam 90%. Taiwan 64%. Japan 46%. India 52%. South Korea 50%. Thailand 72%. Switzerland 61%. Indonesia 64%. You kind of get the gist. The lowest ones were the United Kingdom at 10%, Brazil at 10%, Singapore at 10%, Chile, Australia, Turkey, and Colombia were all at 10%. The highest,
where's Israel at?
Israel's 33.
Okay.
The highest one was Cambodia at 97.
Wow.
Here's what he has proposed to tariff these countries: 34% on China, 20% on the European Union, 46% on Vietnam. He wants to go down to 17% with Israel, 17% with the Philippines, 29% with Pakistan, 49% with Cambodia. Canada isn't even on this list. And I'm pretty sure he had more pages. Oh yeah, there they are. Canada. Is Canada even on here? No, he doesn't even look at Canada, honestly. I'm just going to keep scrolling. The page I found this on is CNBC. I know that I'm not a big fan of NBC or MSNBC or any of those left-leaning organizations. But the point is that when you have countries that are, for all intents and purposes, requiring an American company to pay 78% on the goods that they import into that country, well, they're already at a disadvantage when the United States has been so far beneath the tariff world that it's pretty astounding, actually, that this is what we're looking at on a regular basis. It does get a little on the frustrating side because it doesn't have to be this way.
A lot of high numbers.
Obscenely high numbers, to be honest.
Yeah.
And let's kind of think about this. What he is asking is for it to be free and fair across the board. So if you think that it's not free and fair for us to reciprocate how we're the trade agreements that we have with these other countries, what do you consider is fair? See, these are the questions that I ask because nobody wants to talk about them. And yes, I understand that the stock market is affected, but you know what? The stock market is affected by damn near everything, not
Right.
just the tariffs, and not just the he puts out a mean tweet, the stock market bumps. He puts out a nice thing, the stock market bumps. The president of Ukraine says, we're not going to do this. We want to be treated as equals. And it's the same thing.
Right.
Well, at some point, you have to say enough is enough, number one. And at some point, you have to say, we're not going to do this anymore.
Yeah.
That's basically what Trump is saying. We're not doing this anymore. So,
I posted something the other day that said, it was off of a conservative political cartoon post, but it says, if our tariffs can cause a worldwide recession, then the world has been living off of our money. Think about it.
exactly. Exactly.
And no wonder if they're charging us that much.
Exactly. Well,
if our tariffs,
exactly.
no wonder if they're charging us that much.
And that's the thing is, if we have that going on, it's and everybody wants to ignore it, that tells me that people aren't being critical thinkers. Right? And what this country needs right now is exactly that, critical thinkers. This country needs people to be thinking about this stuff much more critically rather than knee-jerk react at every little thing that's going on. The thing with the 401ks, I ask everybody, oh, I lost $2,000. Yeah, but did you close the account out? No. Well, then just hold out. Holding out is not a bad deal. I mean, you're panicking about nothing. Yeah, you lost it today. You make it up in about 3 or 4 weeks. Okay.
Right.
What did our Democrat politicians say about this, about tariffs? And now I'm going to be very clear. They were focused on China. And oh, by the way, who is Trump hammering the most?
China.
Oh, holy crap. This is what Nancy Pelosi said, and this was back in 1996, I think.
Yeah.
How far does China have to go? And it was 1996. How much more repression, how big a trade deficit and loss of jobs for the American worker, and how much more dangerous proliferation has to exist before members of this House of Representatives will say, I will not endorse the status quo. Let's look at Schumer. The Chinese do not play by the rules. He said this in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
We have talked and talked and talked as a nation to them. With other nations of the world, we have talked and talked and talked to the Chinese until we're blue in the face. The time for action is now. These are the same people who criticize the president with absolute impunity, and it's disgusting. It's that, hey, I'm gonna say this today because it's what I believe my voters want to hear.
Right.
I'm gonna say exactly the opposite a few years down the road because it's Donald Trump who's actually doing it.
Right.
They have been talking about doing it for years. Okay, it is time for our first break. I am going to pick a song. Don't know what I'm going to pick.
They're all pretty good, so whatever it is, I'm sure it'll be fine.
We'll go with this. We are going to talk about radical Islam in our next segment. So without further ado, here's our first video.
Stick around.
Seen a in Carolina, dancing on the sand. She's a star that's slipping through my hands, like the ones that fell on Alabama. She's red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. She's my kind of girl, 'cause she's red, white, and blue. She'll get you high as the Colorado skies, and she shines like those New York City lights. As tough as Texas, and brother, she just might knock you to the ground if you start a fight. She's red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. She's my kind of girl, 'cause she's red, white, and blue. She'll wait there in the harbor, holding up her light. She'll bring a fallen soldier home underneath her stripes. She's red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. She's my kind of girl, 'cause she's red, white, and blue. She's red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. She's my kind of girl, 'cause she's red, white, and blue. She's red, white, and blue.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.net.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
All right, we are back,
Welcome back.
and
Yeah,
we're gonna
that was
have.
a cool song. I like that country punk thing going on.
Oh yeah. I mean, we got a whole bunch of videos. I'll help. You and I'll sit down together and kind of look at all the little bells and whistles, and
Pretty cool.
we'll get some other little snafus cleared up, whatever.
Cool.
So we want to talk about radical Islam in the world, And Dennis and I talked about this earlier today. We actually talked about this Friday night. The way the world is running right now, and as much as people go, "Oh, you're phobic," no, not phobic. This is something that needs to be tackled because it is an actual reality. So, without further ado, Dennis, take it away, and I've got some things that I got for input also.
Yeah, no, and actually, my input on this is going to be rather brief. But I'm reading a lot of and seeing a lot of posts from the UK, primarily the EU for sure. I just saw one today from one of their elected officials in Greece, who are claiming, or they're expressing their concerns over the people that are coming in, that are crossing their borders, just like we had with ours. The UK, they're crossing the English Channel from France primarily, I'm assuming. And these people, not so much in the UK yet, but that's coming. I'm sure of it.
Oh no, it's already there, Dennis.
Yeah, no, but I mean, as far as the elected officials that are starting to speak out about this,
Some of them.
Sturmer, or whatever his name is,
He's bad.
he's bad.
That's a bad guy.
And if you look at a lot of these cities in the UK, like Birmingham, they're all Islamic led leader. The leaders, the mayors, the whatever, are Islamic of Islamic descent or whatever. That they're Muslims. Now, with that being said, there are Muslim movements, and I have read this. Mark Levin just had a guy on last night who is in a Muslim movement that is completely different and not radical with the Islamic radicals. This is a peaceful movement from Muslims. So not all Muslims are bad. They're not. Nobody's saying that, but these Islamic radicals are from a different way of thinking. They're basically a death cult. I've heard that name, them called that many times. They don't care. They don't even get along with each other.
Right.
They're not happy anywhere they go. You look at these organizations over in the Middle East that are fighting with each other to take control of a country such as Syria.
Correct.
When that leader has been ousted, these other groups fight over who's going to take control. So they're not any better than who was in control. That's the issue, because it's just a round and round we go thing.
Well, and here's the challenge, which is greater than what we are experiencing right now. We've talked about the Islamic community in Texas that is currently being pushed back against, which is good.
Right.
I found a video on Instagram from Turning Point USA. Most people are Turning Point UK. So Turning Point USA is led by Charlie Kirk.
Right.
That's TPUSA. Well, Turning Point UK is a conservative group from England. There's an Iranian dissident in England who is telling British patriots they have to fight for their country. Yeah. I go back to, and I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to the song that I told you about called Lost in a Lost World. It's by Iron Maiden.
Oh, Iron Maiden.
It'll blow your mind how accurate it is, what they're talking about. Now, the challenge we have, and this is a society thing as much as it's anything else, and this is the truth. When a group of people that comes into a pre-existing society, into a pre-existing society, there is a implied agreement that you are going to assimilate to a degree with the values and the cultural norms of that society. Here's the challenge. People from that culture come to other places with no intent of ever changing or ever assimilating to the pre-existing societal norms and cultures.
Right.
And then they come in with no, I mean, the problem with with Europe is they were let in as refugees. Well, come on, you weren't letting refugees in. You weren't letting families in. You were letting young men who had already been radicalized in, who were claiming to be refugees, were complaining, were begging for asylum. They never had any intentions of doing anything other than destroy the places that they were going into. One of the
military age.
One of the things that people miss about Islam is, and I think that this is, all religions are trying to convert and grow, right? So all of them, that's just part of being in that culture of being religious. They require assimilation, and it's in the Quran. I don't have a copy of the Quran, but it is in the Quran. It's assimilate or die.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's a reason why Thomas Jefferson sent the Marines to Tripoli to deal with the Islamic horde that was capturing ships and enslaving sailors from all over the world. They just happened to come across an American ship when the president sent envoys. The envoys were beheaded, and Jefferson said, Marines, go take care of this. That's where From the Shores of Tripoli comes from, on the Marine Corps hymn. So I'm going to read this, and then we're going right back into another break, which is weird. When people talk about Islamic migration and rape, they talk about it in a way that doesn't capture the truth. This is coming from Joey Manarino. Sorry about the ums, guys. Everyone remembers the mass rapes in Germany in 2015 on New Year's Eve. I don't think most people actually understand how it went down and how much of a social phenomenon rape is in Islam. Have you ever heard of the term tarahush, also known as, and I can't read it, it's done in Arabic. When the Muslim guys get together to socially rape someone, they form 3 concentric circles and rape one or a few women at a time. The inner circle group directly engages in the rape, committing acts like groping, tearing of clothes, or worse. They're the closest to the victim and exploit physical proximity. The middle circle participates in less direct ways, such as restraint, shielding the inner circle from view, or contributing to the chaos by shouting or pushing. The outer circle acts as a barrier, deterring or blocking bystanders, rescuers, or police from intervening. They may pretend to be a part of the crowd or even claim to help. The circles create a self-contained environment where the victim is trapped, the assailants are protected from detection, and external intervention is delayed or prevented. The crowd's density and noise mask the crime, making it appear as mere jostling. While the attack seems spontaneous, there is great premeditation, with assailants exploiting the event's chaos or even signaling to each other. When I say to you, you should not allow migration of certain cultures into Europe and America, this is what I'm talking about. I don't want people who go on casual rape sprees to be a part of a civilized society. If that's what they want to do in their third world countries, then that's what they do. I think it's disgusting and repulsive, but I don't live there and don't care. When it comes to my doorstep in Western society, it affects me and can affect people I love and care about. You have seen astronomical increases in rape ever since migration began. That is because rape is like a sport to them. While Italians go and get coffee, African Americans go play basketball, white people go to country music and concerts, the Spanish go and eat jamon iberico together, third world Islamic migrants go rape people together. Not all cultures are created equal. We're at our 30-minute mark, but you know what? We are going for 15 minutes. If we go a little over the 12 o'clock, so be it. I want to bring this. Let's circle this. When a group of people come with what they have as a societal norm, and I just read what they have as a societal norm, and I'm not saying all of them do, because like Dennis said, there are people that follow that faith that are respectful and have what I would call family values. The issue is on the fringe, the extreme, they don't have values. They don't have any values like that. And we need to understand, and we need to be clear. This is not acceptable. I see Kent Ratcliffe jumped on. What's going on, man? This cannot be allowed. We are right now dealing with people of Islamic faith in the halls of our Congress and in the Senate. And on a religious level, I don't have a problem with them. I never have had a problem with them. Don't necessarily understand them, but I don't have a problem with them. What I do have a problem with is when people like Omar pledge her allegiance not to the United States like she did when she became a citizen, but back to Somalia from whence she came. Right. Well, my response to the Congresswoman is renounce your citizenship and go back from whence you came. Because you are not serving the interests of everybody in your constituency.
Correct.
And most of the people in your constituency would be perfectly happy to see you go somewhere else. It is astounding to me that people aren't barking more about seeing people like that removed.
Well, Mark, isn't it our responsibility as American citizens to make sure that doesn't happen?
I could have sworn it did, but we'll get into that in the last segment.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of want to know what other people think. And the reason I want to know what other people think is because whether you like it or whether you don't, this is going to be at your doorstep. And we need to. This stuff is unpleasant, and it's unpleasant to talk about, but it needs to be talked about.
Definitely.
And it needs to be addressed. And my mentality is pretty simple. Call me what you want to call me, but my mentality is if you don't confront it now, you'll be fighting it. You'll be fighting it for generations to come later. We need to, and I'm not saying kick them all out. I'm saying that there's a requirement for assimilation.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, there is assimilate or go back to where you came from, because we don't need you here. We don't. I'm not sorry.
This isn't a phobia or a racist anything. This is about protecting our citizens.
Correct. All right.
Plain and simple.
We got the next song, and speaking of race and racism, wow, what a great segue. We will be discussing race and racism in our next segment. We are actually tackling some things that most people are very uncomfortable with, but we're going to go into the next song, and here we go.
Stick around.
It's the guts and it's the glory. 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the Pledge of Allegiance on the 4th of July. It's them handwritten letters from home. It's them sleepless nights alone. It's his newborn baby he left with his wife. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's a line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Hey, from the fields of Indiana to the swamps of Louisiana, to the golden coast of California, Uncle Sam's the only family he's got. His purple heartbeat won't stop. And his 18th birthday was the day he was born. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down to hear the light. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, stand on the front line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, pay the ultimate price. Oh. He was the man of the house when he was born. His family is proud but torn. But if you knew him, you would understand. He was raised on how to be brave, just to see the flag still wave. And then he came home with only one hand. He's Mr. Red, White, and Blue. Lay down here the light. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, stand on these front lines. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, he'll pay the ultimate price.
All right, we are back. Hang on a second. We got to do the bumper.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Welcome back.
We are back. Okay, I want to go back to our last segment for 1 second. I have a daughter, and she's 18 years old, and she's in college. And I thought about this during the break. You've heard people say, I don't know what I'd do if something like that happened to my kid. No, I know exactly what I'd do if something like that happened to my daughter. And I will be very, very, very honest with you. It would be ugly.
How could you not know what you would do?
What I would do to someone doing that to my kid, there is no question what would happen to those individuals. There would be nowhere they could hide. All right. I want to talk about racism. I was having a conversation at work, and we were talking about race and racism. And I'm going to start this one off very simple. You've seen, oh goodness gracious!
Bless you.
All right, you have seen numerous videos of black people, comedians, make fun of all kinds of races, and most of us laugh at them. I laugh at them. I think they're funny. You don't see white people making fun of black people as much. Why? Well, society says you're not supposed to do that. To do that's racism. To do that is racist. If you're white, pointing the funny finger at black.
Mm-hmm.
Here's Mark's take on that. If it's funny for you, it's funny for me. If you think it's funny, I think it's funny. If you want to step on toes, I'm going to step on toes. I watched a video of a while back. It was an interview that was being done, I think, on CNN. I found it. You can look at it up on YouTube. And the black woman who was in the interview literally said, "Black people can't be racist." So I decided that I was going to do a little bit of research because this is what I do. So I'm going to go to the dictionary, and while I'm going to the dictionary, I want Dennis to talk about his take on this, because what I'm going to look up in the dictionary. Go ahead.
Well, you know what? You're right. You don't see a lot of the white people talking about black people in a funny way, mainly because there's fear of retribution, a racial retribution, which shouldn't really happen because, back in the day you had Richard Pryor, you had Fred Sanford, you had, Red Fox, you had these black comedians that were constantly using the word honky, which that word never bothered me. I don't know what the big deal is with it. You got honky,
or
cracker, white bread.
White
I
boy.
mean, the list goes on. I could make you a list of like 20 names that black people have for white people. And it's like, none of that ever bothered me. I always laughed it off, just like the word gringo. I don't care,
Right.
Whatever.
Who cares?
That doesn't hurt me.
And here's the challenge we've got. Morgan Freeman did an interview. Don't remember who it was that he was being interviewed by. But the interviewer asked, how do you prevent racism? And the response was, stop talking about it. Stop talking about race as the defining characteristic of a human being.
Right.
And we as a people, we're still, the challenge is today when you hear people that are Morgan Freeman is fairly prominent.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear that person say that, yet you still hear people like Jasmine Crockett, and I will throw her out there because she has used race as her way in and as her means of advancing herself.
Still trying to.
And is still trying to. We can attack her next week because she's going to give us plenty of ammunition to do it.
She's on the agenda for next week.
She's hilarious. But here's the definition of racism. Okay. This is coming from the Merriam-Webster dictionary. A belief that race is a fundamental determinant of human traits and capacities, and that racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. Now, it doesn't say white. It says of a particular race.
Right.
That means that, yes, a white person can be racist against people of other races. It also means that a black person can be racist against other races. It means that if you are a part of a specific race and you look at someone of another race and you look at them as if you are superior to them, you're a racist. It is not just locked into one specific group of people. What's hilarious is when they start talking about systemic oppression to a group. And in this case, it uses white supremacy as a specific. When you go to other nations, though, the whites are the minorities, and they are systemically discriminated against and discriminated and pushed, oppressed. Look at South Africa today.
Oh, yeah.
There's a reason why President Trump has said the things that he has said about South Africa. And that is because they are true.
It's funny you brought that up remember you heard that story about that pastor that was just kidnapped.
And why was he kidnapped? Because he was talking.
And he's teaching Christianity.
So when we talk about race, stop walking on eggshells. Okay? I don't look at race. I've had very specific incidences in my life where I could have become a racist. When I went to school, I went to Monroe Elementary in Denver. It was predominantly Mexican. I then went to Rishel Middle School, also in Denver, also predominantly Mexican. I got bullied by Mexicans. We're not even going to talk about the bullying. We're talking about who it was that did that. I could have looked at people who were of Hispanic descent and said, I hate all of you people because you are of what you did to me. That would be racist. It would be a racist-driven, preconceived judgment on a group of another race, whatever you want to call it, another culture, another whatever. Okay, yeah. I don't look at people based on the color of their skin. I tend to, this is just me, I tend to judge people by the content of their character. I don't like judging people based on their color of their skin. We all have something to contribute, and that's where we're going to bring this segment to a close. We all have something to contribute, good or bad. And whether you believe in God or whether you don't believe in God, the fact of the matter is we have gifts that we should be advancing the human race with. Mine happens to be my trumpet, and for whatever reason, my opinions. Do I believe that we're going to be able to advance the human race through these conversations, me and Dennis, and hopefully more? I don't know. I hope so. I would love to see that. That is part of the goal, isn't it?
Yep, for sure.
So those are the subjects about racism. And look, if you want to make fun of white people, you want to make fun of the pasty-faced white boy here with no hair, knock yourself out. But if I turn around and I make fun of the buckwheat hair wearing people that eat collard greens and all that crap, well, guess what? If you can dish it, you better be ready to take it. I don't care. I know Dennis feels very much the same way as I do. And oh, by the way, he's a pasty-faced white boy too.
That's right. I don't even know what color. I got, whatever in me. I'm Heinz 57, so, bring it on. I don't care.
All right, our next song, we're going to do this one. It's Darian Lee. I have no idea.
Hey, it's Darian. Sorry I missed your call. Be sure to leave a message and I'll get right back to you.
Hey, beautiful. I know you're probably sleeping right now, and I'm not sure when I'll be able to call again. Everything's going good over here. I love you, and I miss you.
Like waves in the ocean are bound to the sea, crashing over and over into me. 2 drops in the
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
All right, we're into the final segment, and we want to start with this one. I actually wanted to finish with this one. Friday night, Dennis and I, we figured out how to get the studio set up to where it is now, and at one point he was talking to me, and he says, "Man, I don't know how to ask this question without it being taken the wrong way." And I was like, "Okay, well, what is the question?" And the question that he asked is, "What happens if we lose our voice?" And I immediately went to the computer because, computers are fun. We can entertain ourselves in a million ways with a computer. What I was wanting to find out is what was the presidential election map in the state of Colorado. And this is where I'm going with this. If you look at the map of the presidential election in Colorado, you will see that it is overwhelmingly red. The mere fact that geographically we are a red state, but politically, because of the dreaded, disgusting I-25 corridor, we are politically blue. And here are the consequences of not having a voice. I also decided I was going to do this with another state, and I won't tell you the state yet. But what I will tell you is in Colorado, there is a law currently being pushed through. A mutual friend of ours, Dennis, actually asked me about this. Kim Ewing asked me about this. And she said, why haven't parents sued the state? Well, number one, pretty sure they have. Number two, the governor hasn't signed it yet. Number three, it wouldn't matter whether they did or whether they didn't. The reason for that is because even though geographically we are a red state, politically, because of the corridor where the population is most dense, and all of these people are, and I say that I'm not going to insult people, but these people are useful idiots. Every single one of them are just useful idiots. They are going to vote a certain way because they have a hive mind mentality and they don't care. I could go to my representative, Juanita Hicks, and I could go in there and I could tell her, this parent bill that you're trying to pass into law is so bad. It's taking away parents' rights and it's doing it under the guise of quote unquote social justice.
Right.
And it wouldn't make a damn bit of difference because they don't care. They have the power. They have as close to a super majority as they can have. And they're going to cram it down the throats of the people of Colorado, not because they should.
Don't these people understand that they're giving the government the right to take their children away?
They're not giving the government the right.
Well, they're voting to give the government control, complete control over your kids.
Right. Now, you as a parent, if you are a parent and you watch this or you watch the podcast later, if you think that it's okay to give into a child to me is from infant, childs actually go to 5 to 11 years old, 12 years old. Because then they go into their teen years, 13 years old. If you think that giving into a child's fantasy is okay, more power to you, but stay out of my home.
Right.
I raise my children, not you. And they word it in such disgusting manners that it just blows my mind. So the answer to Dennis's question, what happens if we lose our voice on a national, because he's talking about a national. So I just narrowed the scope to the state of Colorado, which we both live in. And both of us I have expressed that if I could get the hell out of this state, I would get the hell out of this state. And I would do it so fast your head would spin. I'll tell you one state I wouldn't go to, because they are exactly like us. Here are a bill that is being that was passed. Okay, it is called HB 1296, gutting parental rights. Perhaps the worst parts of it are below, and they voted on this. They voted yes. 9-year-olds can excuse themselves from campus. Parents must not be notified if their child does not appear at school or leaves campus. Allow boys to shower with girls. Allow boys in girls' bathrooms. Allow OSPI to punish schools for noncompliance with state policies that violate federal law. Parents must not be notified if a medical incident happened to their child at school. Parents must not be notified when a medical procedure happens that requires insurance. Parents must not be notified if their child is assaulted off school campus. Parents must not be notified if their child is assaulted. Oh, sorry, that was a dupe. Parents must not be notified if their child is sexually assaulted by a school employee off campus. These are Democrats. Democrats not only voted for this, but they added an amendment that explicitly allows schools to hide this information, disallowing parents to request their child's medical records, disallowing parents to review graphic material before instruction, disallows suspensions of repeat disruptive students, allowing emergency clause to allow referendums. It is insane that the state of Washington passed that bill in their state legislature. Washington, if you look at the map, I would invite all of you people to look at the presidential electoral map for the state of Washington. It is surprisingly similar, although a different shape, than Colorado. A few blue patches in concentrated areas, which subsequently are concentrated population-wise. Everything else is red.
Mainly where the schools are, the colleges.
Right. What's going to happen if we lose our voice as Americans, not as the citizens of our individual states? Because I guarantee you, you go to every other state in the union that voted for Harris, but geographically voted for Trump. And you will find the exact same pattern. Here's what will happen. They will create a law that we definitely don't like. They will then take that law and cram it down our throats. And then Americans who have values will step up. And it will not be pretty. This is not encouraging that kind of behavior because we are adults. The left is a bunch of petulant little children that destroy property and think that that's okay. Conservatives believe in conserving. We believe in expressing ourselves and fighting for our rights, but we don't destroy other people's property because we actually have values. We have a moral compass. I just laid out for you people exactly what you're dealing with when you allow a small geographical area to dictate to the rest of an area. In this case, Washington State and Colorado. Those are the two states that we're keying on right now because I just wanted to know. Because right now, they're the ones passing all of these insane laws. And they are insane.
These people are mentally ill, Mark.
Oh, they are, but here's the thing, Dennis. They're mentally ill, but they're in power.
Yeah, I know. It's the scary part.
Literally, it is the inmates running the asylum. And the sad thing is that it used to not be this way.
Right.
We used to look at each other and go, hey, at least this isn't totally crazy. Now you can't look at a Democrat in the state of Colorado and think to yourself, at what point did you go insane?
Right.
Okay, answer this. Is that not a legitimate question to ask?
It is now.
Because this is where they've decided to take us.
Right.
And we can scream until we're blue in the face. We can go to the Colorado State Legislation webpage and find out when they have open mic, open forum. And we can go down there and we can make our arguments.
There's something I was thinking that the United States' predicament versus like the EU's predicament are not that dissimilar except for one thing. We have Amendment 2.
We have the Second Amendment. We have Electoral College.
Right.
If we didn't have the Electoral College, Hillary Clinton won 2016. And we won't even talk about the last election, okay? The last election was rigged. The last election was stolen.
Big time.
There's enough evidence out there now it was stolen. Let's not even pretend.
Right.
All right? We're not even pretending anymore at that. We know it. Everybody else knows it. There's proof. Tulsi Gabbard was the president had his second cabinet meeting. Keep in mind, the last president had 2 cabinet meetings, one at the beginning and one at the end, and his wife basically ran the second one.
And he was at the beach the majority of the time.
Yeah. President Trump, right. And President Trump has now had 2 cabinet meetings. And Tulsi Gabbard went in and with what she now has the ability to do, came out and made it abundantly clear. These Dominion systems are compromised, and they allow for votes to be changed on the fly.
Right.
This is coming from the Department of Intelligence. This is what they do.
Yep.
And she finally came out and told everybody what everybody already knew. And the left will sit there and go, oh, you just don't want, you're an election denier. I am. At this point, yeah, I absolutely am an election denier. Because you tell me how he got 81 million votes, and then it went back from 81 million to what, 67 million?
Yeah.
Don't tell me that don't tell me there wasn't something wrong with that, because there was.
We have indisputable evidence now. So there's no way that anybody can say any different.
Yeah, and I mean, and keep in mind, we just had a governor sign into law banning manufacture and severely restricting sales of certain firearms on its citizens. And he did it behind closed doors because he's a coward. And let me tell you something. If Bennett actually becomes the governor, you can expect more of the same, because at the end of the day, he's just as crazy as Polis is.
He's
just not gay.
Right.
The only difference is one's homosexual and one is not. But they're both completely unhinged.
They both have the same exact agenda.
And what they're going to do is they're going to force Coloradans to go to other states to buy their weapons. I won't buy a weapon in Colorado unless I get one directly from a friend, because you can still pass them from person to person like that.
Right.
But that's what they're looking at.
That's what I plan on doing.
And here's the thing. They can say whatever they want about it. At the end of the day, it doesn't make a damn bit of difference, because we can argue till we're blue in the face. You're violating the Second Amendment. And at the end of the day, in the state of Colorado, because of how completely unhinged these people are, it won't make a bit of difference. This is what we're dealing with. So to answer your question, what would happen? We're in it. We that are conservative in the state of Colorado and in the state of Washington, do not have a voice. Our voice is universally squashed.
Well, if it continues down that road, Mark, it's going to get ugly.
Oh, it is.
It's going to
Absolutely.
get very ugly. And I don't mean politically.
No.
I mean physically. It's going to get ugly, dude.
Well, how many parents are going to have their kids taken away from them
Right.
for something that is innocuous?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, well, wait a minute. Well, you violated the law. Yeah, but that law is insane.
Right.
That law is crazy.
Well, it's going to come down to I'm not going to listen to your laws because they're stupid and
Right.
insane.
And at that point, there's the line in the sand, right?
Right.
The chat, and we're going to talk about a lot of things next week. I've got some things on my mind, just society based, that I want to talk about, and we'll see where it leads us. And of course, what we've discovered already since October, since we started this program, is, hey, don't worry. The next week is going to give us plenty of things to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
We're never going to run out of material, Mark.
Absolutely. I mean, they give us plenty. And we definitely want to hit Crockett, and we definitely want to do the rest of the stuff. All right,
I
guys.
want to touch on some other stuff too, but we'll get into that later.
This is the end of the Freedom Chat. I will do a better job, and Dennis will do a better job of sharing the opportunity for people to talk to each other. We'll share it on our own pages, but we will share it on the Freedom Chat page. We will try to provide people with news updates and with things that have gone on during the week on the Freedom Chat page.
Yes.
It isn't the only thing I have to focus on, man. I've got a lot of things on my plate, but I am dedicated to having open conversations. I'm sorry nobody jumped on number one. My mom tried to jump on it. I think she says she was able to watch it, but not able to engage. So I think what we're going to try to do next week is we're going to try to invite people on. I will literally try to invite people to come onto the page.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't care whether you voted one way or another. If you have an opposing view, I welcome the opposing view. I really do.
Right.
Because we need to have the opposing view. We cannot come together as a nation until we have a greater understanding for what the other side is looking at. We believe that the other side has been brainwashed and has been manipulated. So our goal, my goal, and I don't know about Dennis, but my goal is to challenge what they think they know.
Absolutely.
That's my goal. That's what I want to do. I want to challenge what they think they know. I want to challenge their beliefs versus my beliefs. I believe that my beliefs are stronger than their beliefs, and I know that my values are better than their values. I know it is a fact. And I don't normally say that, and I don't say that lightly, but it is a fact. It is a straight up fact. My values are far better than these crazies on the left. And yeah, I called them that because that's what they are. I mean, you should read some of these bills that are being passed in our name, not in my name, not in Dennis's name, but in the name of the state of Colorado. Disgusting.
Disgusting.
Completely disgusting. All right, y'all. Patriotism is important. Love your country. You don't have to worship your country, but you got to love your country. You don't have to like everything that your country has done and is doing, but you have to love your country, man. This is where you live. This is your home. So that's my message for people today. Go out and look up at that big, glorious red, white, and blue flag and say, God bless America. I'm so happy I live here.
Yes, sir. Be good to each other and Godspeed.
Absolutely. God bless America. God bless you all. And let me get the closer up. There we are.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.
Illegal immigration, it